Welcome to the lecture. In the last lecture of why health and safety, we had seen the importance of health and safety at the industries and everywhere at the workplace. By a lot of accidents we had seen, a lot of disasters that has happened. So it is like that from the past or from the history of the failures in health and safety, we are learning to become a making a good practice in health and safety, which means in the past there were a lot of accidents that has happened, a lot of disasters have happened, but in the modern times we are making a good safety practices in the workplaces. That is our main focus. So when we see on these accidents, we should have to focus how can we improve on that, how can we make into a good standard practices, good international safety practices. So today we are going to see module 1 or element 1. Our objective that we are going to see completely in this modules 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3 is, first we are going to see to support the organization and workforce morally, financially and legally. We are going to see this 1.1 point. Before that, we are going to see some key terms. That means when we use the word, some words we use, these words are professional words that is used in this field and it has a specific meaning for that. So the first word, that is health. The meaning is said over here, that is physical and mental well-being of a worker. So just think, there is a cement storage company and there the workers are working over there. So daily they are being exposed to such type of dust. And what happens is, if they don't wear any mask or they don't have something like that, so slowly they will develop breathing problems, lungs issues, lung breathing disorders and all this. So that affects their health. So this affects them physically. Also, to this type of such workers, they are been also exposed to such type of physical and mental disorders, health disorders, due to such type of practices. So it's very simple. If a worker is exposed to such type of dust, then we can give him the dust mask and required PPs, personal protective equipments. Hence by what happens, he is safe. So the condition of his health will be good in the short term as well as in the long term. So here health, it has a meaning physical and mental well-being of a worker. Second is safety. So what does safety mean over here? That means protection from injury or harm at work. Now in this picture you can see a person is working on a roof. So there are chances that if he doesn't have any, in the picture you can see he is wearing some PPs and there are guardrails that is preventing him from falling in that particular location. So these are all safety things. Why? To protect him from what? From injury or harm that could happen. So what are the injury or harm? He could slip over there or he could fall from that particular height. That could lead to injury, harm or death or even more worse case. Catastrophic, dangerous. So there are this approach that we have. There are PPs over here, there are guardrails and everything that is preventing a fall from height and is protecting him. So that is safety, which means it is protection from injury or harm at work to the workers, to the employers, to the employee, to everyone, staff, everyone. Safety and health, both things, is not that should be enjoyed by some persons. It's not like that. Everyone should be like benefited from health and safety. It is not like that a worker should have to demand health and safety. It is everyone's responsibility to make sure health and safety is properly being followed everywhere. And that is as per the law, as per legal perspective, okay, and that should be followed. So this is health and safety. In the complete lecture, when I will say about health and safety, so understand this is what we are focusing on that. Moving to the third, that is hazard. Now you can see the meaning over here, anything that can cause harm. Example, open electrical wiring. Now just think, in an industry, there are a lot of wirings that is being gone in the office, and just think the rats or something, they have like done the wire in such condition. Okay, so the wire is such in a condition, it is exposed. It has a if anyone gets in contact, then there is a risk in which there can cause harm to that particular person. So now here what happens, this particular condition of the exposed wire or open electrical wirings, okay, is anything is like a hazard. Okay, now the wire is no one is like gone there, or no one is contact with that wire, is working with that wire, no, but we had identified there is an electrical open wiring. It can cause harm, but it still has not caused harm, but it has the potential to cause harm, and that is concluded or considered as a hazard over there. So we understand what is hazard, which means anything that can cause harm, like this open exposed wire. Now the fourth is, you will find little similar, that is risk, meaning likelihood that a hazard will cause harm. Now regarding likelihood, we need to understand the meaning of this word. This is also a technical word. Now to understand that, let's come down. You can see why. You can see chance, likelihood. Likelihood, if you want to get it simple word, that is chance. But what is chance? It is actually an informal word. Every day we use it, but that is an informal word. We cannot identify what level of chances. Now likelihood is something that is used in the professional language, in the technical, and for our risk assessment work, and in the law also we use this word. So likelihood simply means chances or probability, but likelihood is the word that is to be used, which means the chances, how much chances. So what is the likelihood? Okay, so likelihood that a hazard will cause harm. Now here what happens is, in the picture in hazard, you can see the wires are exposed. It has potential to cause harm, but it has not caused harm. But now here comes a situation in which a person is working with an electrical wire that is exposed. So now this condition is what? Here actually he is working with that hazard condition, but the thing is that it has not caused harm till harm or hazard, sorry, it has not caused harm to him till now, but there is a potential that harm can cause him. Now here this becomes more than hazard, that is a risk. Now what is the risk over here? When this person is working in that exposed wire, there is risk due to this damaged electrical wire. It could cause risk of shock to him, and that is the difference between the hazard and risk. Hazard, which means that wire had the potential to cause harm. Now in the risk, what has happened? A person is nearby or working with that particular material, in which the condition is now in a higher level, that is risk. So this is the difference between hazard and risk. Now let's move forward. Fifth, that is accident. Can see the meaning unplanned event causing injury or damage. See, accident is nothing that we plan it. It is an unplanned event. Now, by that what happens is, there happens injury or damage. In the picture you can see a person was working with a tool, and while he was working he slipped and he fell in the stair. In that he has break his leg. At the same time, in his right hand you can see a tool, so that will also be damaged in this thing. So two things happens in this picture if you see. One is damage to the tool or like material. Second is injury to the human that has break his leg. So this is, so when an injury or such damage happens is, that is major, or like injury or damage has happened, then that is an accident. Now coming to the sixth, that is incident. Here it is said unplanned event that may or may not cause injury. Now forklift hitting a wall without injury. In the second picture you can see a person is working with a forklift machine. While he was working, here what happened is he had collided the wall and there is a damage has happened over there, but injury has not happened. Injury has not happened to this particular person, but what has happened there? There an incident has happened over there that had the potential, it could had caused injury also. So this particular thing is an incident. Now, what is the difference between an incident and an accident? Remember, all accidents are also the incident also, but all incidents are not accidents. So both are actually different. Now, for an accident, we can say that an incident has happened also. We can use that word. Okay, that means for an accident we can say an accident has happened or an incident has happened. Depending on the severity, we can say like that. But you cannot say for an incident that an accident has happened. Both are different. So this is the difference between an accident and an incident. So now moving further. Now seventh is near miss. This is an important thing. Now you understand like accident, incident, and now coming to near miss. Here a person is walking. Just think the particular tool which is now in the air. If it hits, if it hits, if it he's walking, and if it hits the ground and misses this particular worker, a person, in which like he's safe, but by seconds it could had like hitted him, that could have caused an incident, which means if it had hit his safety helmet and fault, incident. If it has had hit his like if he had not wear the safety helmet and his head was exposed and hit very strongly in his head, causing a major injury, so that becomes an accident. So incident, accident, difference. And now near miss, that is fall in the ground has not hitted him, but by this we can understand one thing, Just think if he was working near a construction building and this particular material has fallen while he was walking down. So by this near miss, what is near miss in its word only? An incident that could have caused injury but didn't. Okay, here injury could have happened, but it has not happened there, but it could had. So it has near missed, and we consider this as a near miss. So what happens when we understand such a near misses? We should have to control that, because near miss are like a warning signs that has been there in the industries. There are a lot of near misses that happens in different sectors in industries. So we learn from that. There has happened an incident that is a near miss, and from that near miss we understand why it has happened, and later we can stop it or like control it. Now eighth, that is the occupational disease, meaning we can see illness caused by work conditions. Here you can see a person is using this machine in which a lot of dust is exposed. He is not wearing the mask, and this continuously what is happening is he is taking inside breathing, and it is being deposited in his lungs. So that could lead to silicosis condition in the long term future, and that will affect his health condition. And see, this much amount of like dust that is there, which is dangerous to the body, is been like he is taking intake of that thing by breathing, and later in the stages it like becomes a worsened condition for his health to this worker. Now here it's a simple thing. If he wears a mask, he could control it at a majority and control this occupational disease. But understand, in industries there are a lot of workers who are working in such conditions which could lead to such type of conditions. So now let's move further. Now key terms in health and safety. 9, that is employer, meaning person or organization providing work. Example, construction company hiring workers. What is an employer and employee? See, we know in an industry there are actually two types of people. One is employee, that are the staff, workers, all these people, and there is employer, who is actually the management. They could be the company, organization, they could be the factory owner or proprietor. They are the partnership firm, corporate body, NGO, government department, public sector undertaking, contractor company, trust society, which means these people are actually the management. The main like they work in this managing the organization, company, and everything, which means they provide you the work. Okay, and now the employee, these are the people who are like working under the employer. Now, working under the employer, see, safety officer is also an employee, project manager is also an employee, general manager, employee. So this all categories, there are operators, there are workers, there are different designated drivers, and everyone. So all this come in the employee. So employer is one, the person or the organization who is providing you the work, and the employee is the one who works under this particular employer. So 11th, that is the PPE, which is personal protective equipment, meaning equipment worn to reduce exposure to hazard. Now you can see a person, in the head he is wearing a safety helmet, Ears is protected. See, we seen in the last incident of photo in which a person, like the if the tool might have fallen in his head, it could have caused injury. So to protect your head, you have the safety helmets. So that protects your head. Safety helmets are there. In safety helmets only, there are various types of helmets used in different sectors of industries. For construction, the helmets could be different. For oil and gas sectors, the safety helmet will be different. For the offshore oil and gas sector, same again, this helmets will be different. In the ship, in the marine field, the helmets could be different. Why? Depending on each and every heavy industries and category of industries, the quality and the strength of the helmets and the requirements of the industries, requirement of the yes, industry specification changes in this particular helmet. So a lot of types of helmets are there, safety helmet. Then just think if this particular person is working in an airport near the airplanes and everything, like a ground staff. So what happens is the airplanes generate a too much amount of intense noise, and these people are working continuously over there. Now this is one example. Sometimes it could be near an machine that is generating too much amount of voice. Sometimes it could be like a particular operation machines and everything that could be generating too much amount of tremendous voice. So in such a condition, to protect from such noise, so what happens if he is exposed continuously? That will cause issues in his hearing problem temporarily. Slowly, what happens is he becomes deaf. Let me see you in the Kargil war in India. There are Bofor guns. So in that war, the armies has used within tremendous in that particular span, tremendous amount of firings have happened. There was an interview some years before in which they had said their experiences. They have definitely attacked and captured, and victory was for them. The Bofor camps had definitely provided good results. But using this particular machine has also made a condition of their health, that is, their hearing capacity had become less due to this. And in that also, it was not like that in the immediate phase it has happened. It happens like in slowly. What happens is this thing happens, the hearing capacity. So this same thing happens to each and every industries where people are exposed to too much amount of noise, and to protect from that, we use this hearing protection. Our planning should also be something, or our PPs are also something like that. We see the future, what is happening to this worker. It is not like that for just think if it is only a 6-month project, the workers are there. Why should I have to take care of him? He's only just for a temporary worker in my site. And what happens to him after this happens in the 6 month or afterwards, that why should I have to do that? No, you should have to train them. That could be a worker, that could be an engineer, that could be any person in your site, to wear this particular PP, that is the ear muff. This particular like headphone type what you see, it is called as ear muff. There is again one thing, that is ear plug. Depending on the conditions, you can use any of that protects this thing. So people who are working continuously in such type of hazardous noise places, too much amount of noise, they can use this particular devices, PPs. We know PP is mostly this word, even in the entire world, we had used during the time of COVID, PP kits and everything. In every industry, the PPs are different. Just think if it is like a hospital industry, then there the PPs that is used is different as comparing to like industries, heavy industries, the PPs are different. Now, to protect the eyes, you have the eye protection, that is also known as the safety goggles. Then, in the safety goggles also, if you have any like numbers, then there are customized safety goggles also that can be used, but compulsorily safety goggles are to be used. Which means, just think if you have any number like reading glasses, or sometimes if you have any minus myopia, all these conditions, there are safety goggles that is made customizable and that can be used like proper fittings, like a safety goggle covering completely happens to protect your eyes. So that is a PP. Then you have the high visibility vest clothing. Now, we might have seen this as a name itself says high visibility vest clothing. It is also called as reflector jacket. In this picture you can see over here below a person drinking water. He has wear that visibility jacket or reflector jacket. So what happens is in the daytime also it provides this information that he is a worker by the code. Also, like just think if in the morning itself, if he goes inside any tank where there is complete darkness, this reflector jacket will shine, or it will give you identification in the darkness also. There will be visibility for that. In less like light also, this condition, there will be visibility. And hence we can understand if someone in the darkness, just think how darkness a tank will be. If he had collapsed over there, which means he is unconscious, in all such conditions, we can identify by this thing. Because rest all the things, his hands, his face, his like the helmet, everything can be in dark. But this reflector jacket, it will have visibility due to the radium like type of material it contains. Then for the hand, you have the hand protection. For the hand protection, also as I said you, in the hospital industry, there could be some times for protection used like gloves, sometimes chemical rubber gloves. But in the industries, there are like cotton hand gloves, there are nylon hand gloves, there are high strength hand gloves also that is used to protect the hands. So as I said, depending on the conditions, the particular use of protections or the like hand gloves changes. Then you have the harness. In his body you can see the material like belt. So this thing is known as the harness or fall protection, that is the safety harness belt. We had seen in the picture of safety second that he was wearing a safety belt and has attached two clamps to that guardrail. So when a person is working in the height, if he falls from there, this is a PP that is there to like protect him from falling. So that is a harness. Now the steel boots, or in simple terms we say as safety shoes. Now there is difference in safety shoes. See, in everything we say safety, safety helmets, safety goggles, safety hand gloves, safety visibility jackets, and now the also safety shoes. See, in the safety shoe, in the front of the, like where your toes are there is a steel plate. So what happens is, if any sharp objects, just think if a worker is carrying some heavy machines with his two hands and he's moving it, and if two persons are holding it from two of the sides, and the other person has lose the balance and has dropped, in which the load or the weight has fallen to this particular person, and now the exposed place, when this material will fall, it will definitely fall mainly on his legs, on his toes. Okay, and here in this condition it will definitely cut or injure his toes, which means that is the most exposed place. And if he wears a normal shoes, sports shoe, or sandals and all like this, it is going to cause him injury. So in such a condition, he should have to wear the safety shoes, in which in the toe side it has a steel protection that will protect, that is very strong. So this is the PPs. Not only this, but these are the basic PPs that we find in our daily like industries. There are a lot of PPs there, so we will see in the forward. But 12th, that is the welfare facilities. There are safety officers, there are welfare officers. Safety officers should also have to make sure that the basic welfare facilities should always be provided. Such like you can see basic facilities for worker well-being. So that includes drinking water, not just a basic drinking water. It could be filtered. It should be filtered drinking waters. There should be a restroom to the workers. There should be proper toilets. There should be proper canteen or accommodation facilities to them, stay facilities, accommodation, and there should be proper rest areas also to these workers. So these are all the welfare facilities that a worker is required as per law, and it should be given to them. And this is a good standard practices. Now our key terms is finished. Now we are going to see the next, that is defining managers' roles and responsibilities in health and safety and why. In the beginning of the lecture only, we are going to see roles and responsibilities in health and safety. Now, managers, why manager itself? So we are going to see in the forward. So who is a manager? A manager is a person who plans the work, organizes people and resources, directs and supervises activities, controls outcomes and performances. Which means, just think, if it is a construction industry, when he gets a proper like plan, like what is to be done, now here he has an idea how to plan that particular work, when it should be done. To do that work, how much engineers are required and what all resources are required for that. if it is like a construction work and a slab is to be done, that there could be requirement of steel, cement, aggregate materials and all like these things. To make that work ongoing, there should be engineers, there should be workers, and all this resources he should have to make sure. And he instructs the supervisors, and he says this type of activities is to be done, like targets, achievements, everything he says. And with that, when the work finish, so the performance benefits, the outcomes, everything is like he is a concerned person of that. Which means, just think, if you are a manager of a particular company, for our easy understanding, let's take construction company, and here the company has said you some like project in which you have planned, you have your engineering team, you have your workers, you have directed them like the condition how it should be, work should happen. So once you have achieved, so the outcome, that could be good or that could be bad, and the performance, everything is upon you. You have done it, you have the responsibility for that. So manager is something like a very big post, but a manager, understand, the company, the owner, the organization, like they are giving a particular task. So manager is like something, he's like a in both of the like he's coordinating mostly, and he is a very big responsible person. It is important to understand the types of managers over here. So types of managers, understand this thing, that like there are the senior top management, there is a middle management, there is a line operational managers, and there is functional managers. So we are going to see what is a senior top management. So they are the owners, directors, managing director, CEO, and the board of directors. Which means these are the people who are there in the top management. What is the difference? See, these people work in mostly in the head office because they are the owners, directors, and they are always over there mostly. Sometimes they come in different sites for visits to check how the work is going on. But they are not the person who are working in the site. They are the person, they are working in the head office. So mostly what they do is they set policies, they approve budget and decide safety priorities, which means like all the decisions and like policies, implementing and everything, approving budgets and all these things is being done by this top management, and they are also called as a senior top management. Now comes the middle management. So as the word itself only, they are in contact with the senior management, so they are the mid level. And who are all? They are the project manager, they are the department manager, they are operations manager, plant manager, factory manager, and all these types of managers, they comes in the middle management. Just think, if there is a very big construction company and they have around like 5 to 10 sites. So to every 5 to 10 sites, this particular senior management, top management, they will put 15 different project managers in all the site. One site is given to a project manager. If it is like this project construction, if it is a factory, one factory manager. If it is a plant, like example, an ice and cold storage plant, then one plant manager. So if it is a different department, it could be plant and machinery department, then one department manager for that. If it could be a safety department, so there are like various types of department. So for that also managers are there. So what they do, they convert policy into plans and manage departments projects. So here what happens is, now the company has got a project, So they give this project to this particular manager, and an implementation happens over there. They manage it, and they convert their plans into action. The senior management or top managements, the plans and projects that come, these people manage and act it, and it is done. Now comes the line operational managers. These are the people who are site manager, shift manager, supervisors, foreman, team leader. What happens is the particular project manager or the middle manager, they, as we said, they like enforces this work. So to make sure all this work is done properly in the ground level, there are such type of supervisors, foremen, and everything. So what do they do? They control day-to-day work and directly supervise workers. So they directly supervise this worker, and what happens is that particular project or like plan is going, there is an action, and the work is going over there. So now comes is the functional manager. So these are also managers. Functional manager. Now the word is different. First, you can see safety manager or HSE, health safety environment or health safety executive manager. Second, you have the HR manager. Third, you have the maintenance manager. Fourth is quality manager. And fifth, you can see training manager. So in short, I will just say you. Safety manager, they're called as a functional manager as because the work all these people are doing is a professional work. It is not a production work. The senior management and this particular foremen and supervisors we had seen, they are concerned for the production to go on. Now, what makes difference in them and us is we as the safety managers, the safety officers or the health and safety practitioner, that is a good word, health and safety practitioners, what our work is when this production is going on, we are the concerned person, responsible person. We do like our professional knowledge. We try to control like dangers, accidents, incidents, near misses, all these things. We control over there. We control the risk and all these factors. When a production goes on, there will be a lot of accidents, incidents, chances, all this likelihood. So we control all these things by our professional standard practice is what we have. With that, we control all these things, and hence why what happens is the production is safe. So in simple thing, it's very simple. Just think if a work is been going, if a work has been going, the safety managers, the team, they actually control all these dangers. So that is a professional work, and that is a specialist work that we do. Same like that, the HR manager. Now, what does the HR manager do? To make sure a good production is to be run, there should be good amount of staff being required who has good amount of experience, who is competent to do that particular work, and all the basic welfare facilities, and all this to be made sure as per law. The maintenance manager, he makes sure that when a production goes on, there should be no breakdown, which means the production should not have to stop, and all the machineries, units, everything is maintained properly, hence why a smooth production happens over there. You have the quality manager. This particular manager makes sure that what production they are doing, it maintains a good quality work. Just think if there is no quality work been going, it could affect everyone also. Just think if in a slab, if it is a construction industry and at a height slab work is going on, if the quality of work is very worst in such conditions, there could be accidents. So the quality should be there in the work, in workers, in the materials that they use, and all the required practices to be done. Now, last is the training manager. The training manager makes sure that each and every work that a particular department everyone does, basic and proper training is to be given to them. See, there are women at work. As per law, there are like trainings to be given, and there are basic trainings that is given in the industries to the workers, to the staff. So that is being made sure by these training managers. So this is how a functional manager is there. So mostly these people are like specialists, like a professional, and they support the production operations by their specialist functions. Now, why managers must manage health and safety, and why these managers are responsible for health and safety. Now we are going to say this important thing: support the organization and workforce morally, financially, and legally. To understand this, we had already taken this the Bhopal gas tragedy 1984. A lot of people had lost their life by this industrial disaster. As the year you can see over here, 1984, but the fact is, still today, people are facing its after effects. In Bhopal today, if you go over there, I had not visited this place, but one thing I can say you sure, more than schools where children go to study, more than that, there will be orphanages over there, in which you can find a lot of people who are handicapped, who are like blind, who are facing cancer's condition stages, and have a lot of hundreds of health ill effects due to this particular disaster's side effects or after effects that has happened. Till today, the babies that comes to life or like birth happens, that babies also have these particular conditions. So you can understand a very small portion of Bhopal, a very small portion of Bhopal, a company, had caused such amount of worse industrial disaster in which today also industries, today also the people are facing over there. It is a very fearful condition that has happened. When Bhopal gas tragedies happened, definitely uh, the whole world had seen it in fear and had made a good practices in the industries, but Let me say you till today also, there are a lot of industries who holds more dangerous chemicals than this case. There are still many companies, not only many industries, not only in any particular country, everywhere it is there. Due to good safety practices being followed, everything is in good control. There is no such disaster. But if the safety fails, then this is the condition that happens to them. Chernobyl, this nuclear disaster, this is the worst nuclear disaster that has happened, in which the people was required to completely abandon the place and leave. The whole area was having radiation effects, radioactive conditions. So Chernobyl in the nuclear sector, this has made a good safety practices by this disaster. There had been good safety practices that has been followed in today's modern nuclear facilities. Deepwater Horizon, USA. When this accident has happened, tremendous amount of oil, not only this accident as you see, the crude oil was completely spilling in the ocean. For months it was spilling. The whole seashore, the marine life, everything got damaged. And this is the worst thing that has happened in the history. It has polluted the sea. Why? Due to ignorance of safety. Piper Alpha UK 1988. Here also, safety was not followed properly. Fukushima nuclear disaster, Japan. We know Japan, a lot of tsunami cases has happened. Here also same tsunami happened. They were prepared, but the magnitude of tsunami that came was actually higher as compared to the preparations of like level they had. And later the sea water has flooded this reactor. The electrical units was like blackout, was cut off due to this, and then there happened the reactor blast, exploded. So here also the safety practices or the emergency like practices could have gone or made sure that good extreme practices in extreme conditions should may have been implemented over here. Beirut port explosion 2020. Here they had failed in safety because they had stored the dangerous like material, and as per safety they had not followed the proper required safety and storing conditions and everything, and this explosion has happened. LG polymer gas leak. Here a dangerous gas leak which has caused harm to the people. RMS Titanic ship 1912. This is also one accident that has happened, which led to a good change in the marine sector in the ship industries. Today, a good safety practice has been followed. Grenfell Tower fire, you can see the high-rise building that got in fire, ignorance of safety also. Bombay Dock, Victoria Dock explosion 1941, 44. Here also there was ignorance of safety and explosion happened. See, in Victoria Dock explosion, the explosion was this much strong that one simple thing, there was a ship in which gold, cotton, ammunition and everything was being carried. So when this explosion has happened, it was said like this, the people was said, because as they witnessed, that was a day when from the sky there was there was blood and gold that came, not water. It was like rain of gold and blood. So the people has witnessed. So the gold, which means it was there in this ship. While explosion, it like shattered in pieces, and there are a lot of people who lost their life in that. The blood and gold was falling from the sky due to ignorance of safety. Dhanbad coal mines fire. Here you can see today also, due to ignorance of safety, the whole village is facing issues. Upar Cinema fire Delhi, ignorance of safety. Indian Oil Corporation Jaipur 2009. Here also safety failure has happened. Hillsburg Stadium disaster UK. Here also public safety should have made sure, and such organizations should make sure good safety is to be followed practices. Sri Lanka train disaster 2004. Here also safety failure has happened. Beslan School C Russia 2004. Here, as we know, this is a terrorist attack, but such school organizations should also make sure health and safety of the students, of the children, should never be compromised in matter of anything. It could be terrorist attack, it could be any explosions, anything. That should never be compromised. Children's, women's, and everyone should be made always safe. So after this, the world had got idea that, or like they got a caution alert that the children who are at such risk, there should be good health and safety practices to be followed, and also the security also. AMRI hospital, due to ignorance of safety, the fire accident happened. Tenerife airport disaster Spain. Here also due to like operations, there was not proper safety and this accident has happened. World Trade Center 9/11. Just think, the high-rise buildings, when this accident has this particular attack has happened, yeah, that thing is different, the attack has happened, but when this particular building is in fire or was in fire, understand, thousands of people are working in this particular, like twin towers, it is said, thousands of people are working. In this picture only you can see, or you can guess how much people are working over here. That is more than 10,000 people working over there, more than 10,000. And when that much amount of people is working in such an emergency condition, what happens is sometimes the lift will fail, the staircase will fail. So the people should have to, that if there is a safety officer, he should have to make sure that how all this emergency condition can be done properly, or everyone can be rescued or evacuation properly, support with the police department, support with the paramedic, support with the medic, and support with this particular evacuation team and everyone, firefighters and all this team. So that should be made sure. So when such condition happens, there should be such plannings of that. So now we have seen this. Now we had seen all this 19 accidents, incidents, and accidents. From that, we should have to make understandings that why health and safety should be followed. By when we have seen till the last slide, we definitely have an idea. But there are three things that is the main reason why health and safety is to be followed. One, that is a moral. Two, that is financial. Three, that is legal. So now we are going to see this in deep. First, we are going to see moral. The moral reason for managing health and safety. So what is, see, moral, it is like moral obligation. It is like a responsibility. It is like our ethics. Okay, a good ethical practice that we should have to do. Everyone should have to do. Everyone's responsibility. You should have to understand that every day people die due to work-related accidents and disease. Today, when we are taking the lectures, also right now in the world, in anywhere, there could be any industries, any sectors, there are like accidents that is happening, in which sometimes that particular accident could lead to lifelong disability, and millions of people suffer from such lifelong disability. It should be understood, when we say the moral obligation, it is a basic human right that every worker should get a safe workplace. Anyone, if he is a worker, if he is an employee, if he is like a staff, that could be of any grade, that could be of any like levels, or whatever, like rank, seniority, whatever it might be, everyone should have a safe workplace. That is the basic human right. And there should be a moral obligation. We as a health and safety practitioner should have this obligation. First thing, I should always be safe. Second, my colleagues who are working with me, that could be the staff, that could be the our seniors, our juniors, the workers, the staff, the client, any person, it could be even the owners also. We should have to make them safe in any of the conditions that comes. A third thing, industry or the place where we work, that should also be made sure that we make it safe. So now in moral obligation, we see 1.9 million, that is 19 lakh death every year due to occupational risk. Now, occupational risk, which means like workplace risk, like 19 lakh death happens every year in the whole world. So just think, till today, this much amount of death is happening over here. Like, just think, if you, as a health and safety practitioner, working in a particular place, and there is a worker, he loses his life. How does it feel? Such condition is worse, and that should not have to never happen. And each and every health and safety practitioner should make sure that never, wherever you work, there will be no death, there will be no accidents, there will be no such type of dangerous or major accident that happens. Never. Such good practices should be followed. So this particular 19 lakh death that is happening, you as a health and safety practitioners, it's your responsibility. When you go tomorrow to the industries, you should have to make sure that this figure, that this number should have to fall down fall down and make it like no condition. That is the responsibility of each and every health and safety practitioners. It's a very simple thing. Just think, if the death is happening to me myself, so what all will the family face? If it is happening to you, your friends, how is your family going to react for that? This same moral uh, like thinking, like obligation, or like the ethics, we should have to understand, and same is applicable to the workers, to all the people who we see in the industries. And we should have to make that obligation that everyone will work safe and will go home safe with their family, enjoying all this. And we, as a health and safety practitioner, that will be the greatest achievement, that will be the greatest like wealth we are going to earn in our life. Second, you can see 360 million, that is 36 crores non-fatal occupational accidents annually. Now, non-fatal occupational accidents annually, which means non-fatal, which means death has not happened over there, but still the injury is very high. That could be, for example, if a hand is lost, like amputation, and too much amount of heavy accident has happened over there relating to work. So its figure is around 36 crores. Now just think, if it is like a machine, and an operator is over there, so he is working with it. By mistakenly, what has happened? His hand has gone inside the particular machine and it has crushed his hand. For that machine, there was guard, but he has removed the guard, and while he was working, this particular machine had like crushed his hand, in which amputation is required. So it is a non-fatal occupational accident. He is not dead, he is alive. But just think, he is an operator who has lost his hand. Can he work? No. So come down, that is 90 million 9 crores DALYS, disability adjusted life years. So that particular person comes in DALYS. Now this particular operator who requires his hand to work lost his hand. Just think, his name is James. James was working in this particular machine, lost his hand. His age at that time was something like 40 years of age. Now he lost his hand. If that accident could have not happened, he could work till his 60 years. Accident has happened in 40th of his age, but he could work till 60th of his age. But here the accident has happened on the age of 40, which means that 20 years, the time that he had to work, is now lost. And that is a DALYS, disability adjusted life years, that is lost. So such cases are 99 crores. So you can see this, 19 lakh death happens in the occupational sector, in the occupational risk, in which 36 also, yes, and then there are 36 crore non-fatal occupational accidents that happen. There are different types. Amputation, only just one example I given to you. Sometimes it could be an injury that is for like your eyes. Sometimes it will be an injury that has happened to the head injury. Various types of injuries are there. That could be burns. That could be like all like this injuries that happens. Such type of disability adjusted life years. So such type of non-fatal occupational accidents happen annually, and this disability also around like 9 crores disability at this life years. Accidents cause loss-term disability and loss of livelihood. By this accident, there are a lot of people who lose their life completely. They cannot work, and it affects their life, affects their livelihood, their daily life, everything. This data is as per the source of International Labour Organization, ILO. Now we are going to see the moral reason for managing health and safety. You can see the data of India from AMRC, Asia Monitor Resource Center. It says that around 12.5 crores workers affected by occupational accidents and disease yearly. So this is only data in India. And also 2,20,000 workers' death is confirmed annually, yearly. Nearly 1 crore workers seriously disabled. So you can see like the level of accidents, the disabled people, disabled workers, and the level of amount of death that happens in these industries, in the occupation sector. That will be any occupational accidents is everywhere. Like it could be in construction site, it could be a factory, it could be uh, like port, shipyards, anywhere. All the workplace related accidents. So this all thing should be controlled. India is a developing country, and what happens when development is when a country is developing, there could be a lot of accidents that comes because there is tremendous amount of speed like industrial growth, and followingly there happens such type of accidents also. Such type of occupational hazards also increases, leading to such type of occupational accidents. So there should be good level of control, good level of safety, health and safety practitioners to enter the field, to control the field, and to lead the country and lead the world with the dominance of the health and safety practice. Now here we can just understand like a case over here. The moral reason for managing health and safety. First thing is said a worker earning for family. You can see in the first picture there is a person who is with his family, with his daughter, with his wife, enjoying the breakfast while he is on at his house. It might be leave, or might be in a vacation. In the second picture, you can see the place where he is working. There happened an accident in which we can see explosions and fire. In the third picture, we can see she is sad, and she is in a phone call in which she has understood that there is something danger or something catastrophic has happened. On the fourth slide, you can see this particular person. He is in that particular condition, in that accident. He has followed safety, used that practices. He is injured. You can see blood flowing from his head and everything. But he has managed to be safe by the knowledge of health and safety practices. In the last picture, you can see the tragic feel in him that he has faced, or the trauma that he has faced in that particular, just that accidental time that he has faced, that he is never going to forget in his life, such trauma. So now just understand the condition. A worker actually earns for his family, and when an accident happens in that particular workplace, in which sometimes it could be a permanent injury that has happened to him, or even a death, the family's income completely collapses. Lifelong, what happens to the family is completely, there is a lifelong suffering for the dependents of them. That could be mother, that could be father, that could be the wife, children's, whatever it might be. Hence, by moral practices, moral obligation is very important. It's the first thing that needs to be followed. Not only by the health and safety practitioner, but by each and every person who works in the site. Everyone. Everyone. Even if a country's very most important person visits your site, health and safety practice should be followed compulsorily. You, as a health and safety practitioner, have the authority in your site. If anyone visits, whatever like level of person he could be, compulsorily they should have to obey the moral obligation of following the health and safety. It is not only for us, but it is also for the person, for his health and safety. Now here you understand, in the black like mirror, just look at your face, feel like yourself only, you are there over here. Imagine one accident changing your life forever, like an accident, you're working in a particular place in which an accident has happened to you, in which now you are unable to work entirely in your lifetime. The condition becomes like you should have to depend on others. There will be emotional, and there will be financial stress on the family. So this case is not different from the worker. Like, we are different, the worker is different. The, like, if it could be a owner, if it could be a CEO, for them the conditions are different. No, never. Everyone is same. Pain happens to everyone in the same way. So first we should have to understand the condition, that if it happens to me, the level of emotions that we hold, that particular concern should be shown to everyone. And this moral obligation should always be there in us. There are the professional peoples like doctors, lawyers, who after their education, there is a convocation, they make a oath, the ceremony. They say one thing, that it's a simple thing. They have an obligation to protect, to save the people. That will be a doctor, that will be a lawyer, to save the people. Same like that, the health and safety practitioner should also have this obligation that he shall always save each and every people in his work site, and that he will always follow. This obligation should always be there from now till your lifetime. Even you have your retirement, whatever it might be, always this obligation should always be there. When such type of obligations is there in the health and safety practitioner's mind, the whole industry changes the way of work. The level of death that you have seen will decrease, and the importance of health and safety in the world will increase. This sector will also improve in the modern field. So this moral obligation should always be there with you. Now, we know who is an employer. As we've seen, that is a CEO, like the organization, the proprietors, and everyone. Now we are going to see why they have a moral obligation to the, like, why it is a moral obligation to employers, like why the employers have the moral obligation. See, employer, which means they have their industries, they have their like setup units and everything. So they are the very important person who controls their assets, like processing, scheduling, what, how work, everything to be followed, and all these conditions. They actually follow it, and so they also have the decision to create or reduce risk. As we see, unsafe decision lead to injury and suffering. Just think, if a employer in his unit, in one of a unit, he is bringing a particular machine that could be very dangerous, in which it has already a record that a lot of people's life has been lost due to less safety features in that particular machines. The employer, due to cost cutting and everything, he purchases a low standard such type of machines. Now, this unsafe decision will lead to injury sufferings to the workers, and this is not a good practice. Every employers should have to make sure that when such accident happens to their workers also, as per law, this same employer is required to support him or provide the particular medical assistance and everything. So what happens is, again, financial loss happens to this particular employer only. So as per standard practices, if this particular employer is putting a very good machine which has a good like safety features and everything, then there is no accidents, the risk is less, the injury is less, the suffering is less, nothing is there. So decisions should be made good, and they should have a safety mind always. When they protect the worker, there is no injury, there is no financial cost, nothing, everything moves smooth. Now you will have a doubt, if an just think, an injury happens, so we can give them medical first aid and all these things. No, no, it's not like that. If an injury happens to a worker, the conditions can be anything. If a major head injury has happened, then the severity is very dangerous. He could lose his life and all these things. So such things should never have to happen. And the employer should have to make sure, because they are the people who are controlling the factories, they are the people who are controlling the work, decisions, such type of things. Okay, the worker is not going to control which like type of machine should be there in the industry. No, the employer looks into that. So they should have to make sure that good safety features and specifications machines should be installed. Good health and safety practices is to be followed, and it is the responsibility of the employer that he should have to protect the workers from the all risks and sufferings that could come to him. So the employers must protect his workers. Now we had seen that you, as a health and safety practitioner, you had a moral obligation to protect each and every workers, your colleagues, your industries, your like employer, your this particular unit setups and everything. Same like that, more than us, the employer also has an obligation, moral obligation, that he should have to protect the workers. Why? Because he controls these assets, and he has a very big responsibility and authority and like a scope, like responsibility he has. And like the more the power he has, the more the responsibility he has to maintain a good health and safety practice over there. So yes, moral obligation is about ethics. Even if there was no law, no fine, and no inspection, protecting workers will still be the right to do. Safety should be proactive, not a reaction to tragedy. So this is it. Now we see, so we had seen the moral obligation to employers. We shall continue this financial reason for managing tomorrow, the financial reason for managing health and safety. We will see this from tomorrow.